What's good, everybody? I'm the G with a PhD, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel, the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chaser. I want to give a shout out right now to my man Marvin Battle. What's good, my brother? Also, I want to give a shout out to BGS, the Black Gnostic. What's good with you? So, and peace to everybody in the chat. What's good? Salute to y'all. Now, tonight I have a very special guest. He's been here before. His name is Dr. Ronald Neal. What's good, my brother Neal? How you doing?
Hey, brother. I'm good, man. I'm happy to be here once again, man.
All right, man. You know, and today we're gonna have a conversation about racial hypergamy, man.
Yes, sir.
And you know, this hypergamy is already a mother sucker. You know what I'm saying? To begin with, but when you throw that racial element on top of it, woo-wee,
man,
ooh-wee. But you might have a little bit of feedback there, bro. You might have to turn down something going on there, man. I don't know. You might turn the volume down a little bit.
Let me turn it down. I'll turn it down just a little bit here. Hold on. How about that? Can you hear me?
I think I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. I just want to make sure that there's not too much feedback going on, so that way, everything remains clear. But I don't hear anything now, so
we should. Anything? Okay. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay.
I can hear you clearly. So
cool.
Peace out, everybody. Welcome to the chat. It's a manic Monday, but we're gonna mesmerize them with mentality. You know what I'm saying? As we show them hospitality on this platform. So, right now I feel like Goldie and Pretty Tony. Right now I'm into my future mode, especially if we're talking about hypergamy, because it's, like they say, what from the book of Future, chapter 1, verse 1, from the street she came, and from the street she shall return. And you don't mean to be derogatory or use pejoratives in order to denounce people. That's not the goal. We're just trying to articulate the reality of the situation from a black male perspective. Because everybody else is able to have a perspective. Everybody else has a politic. Everybody else has a viewpoint they're able to live by. Well, why not us?
There you go.
Who said that we have to be keyed in or tuned in to somebody else's politics? Who said that? Thank you very much, Omni Americana. Appreciate that donation there, my brother. So I just want to start off, man, because I see you say some dynamic things, man, and when you say the things you say them with no regard to the feeling, the repercussions, the blowback. I mean, the blowback. You don't care. And that's the carefree attitude, man. I love in you, brother.
Appreciate it.
You know what I'm saying? I just love that I don't care. And one of the things you said lately, man, you said all you have to do is press unfriend.
There you go.
What is that? You said, listen, my politics is blasphemous. I use Facebook to piss off the dominant culture. I'm unmoved by identity politics. All identity politics, left to right. I am not politically correct. I don't acknowledge sacred cow. If you think I'm xenophobic, sexist, homophobic, or whatever, unfriend me. I'm not a save the whales liberal, nor am I a jail and execute poor conservative. I'm nowhere in between. No moderation is here. My work is prophetic and unpopular. If I offend you consistently, leave. If your mind is not closed, stick around. Live out loud. So tell me what was going through your mind when you made that post, my brother.
Bro, man, I've been on Facebook, man, for over 10 years, man. And that post really reflects, man, my outlook, my worldview, man. When I decided to be academic and to be a philosopher, cultural critic, to think, about religion, culture, and all that kind of stuff, man. I made a decision, brother, that I was gonna I was going to be all in. You know what I'm saying? And the reason, for that is because, my interest, man, my concerns, man, as a black man and dealing with black people, man, demand that, we have, free thought, free conversation, man, free inquiry. You know what I mean? I mean, think about it. I mean, the condition of black people, there's nothing politically correct about black people's condition in the United States.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't see how. I have never been swayed to believe that there is a politically correct way of talking about slavery, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, gentrification, misandry. I mean, you can just go on and on and on and on and on. Unemployment, homelessness. I mean, there's no politically correct way to talk about these things, man, when it comes down to black folks, And then when you get more particular and talk about black men, that just takes it to an entirely different level. And so that, what you read right there, man, that recent post, it reflects that, and I'll be the first to say, brother, that, having this perspective, I mean, it's not easy. It's one that I've worked hard to maintain and sustain. You know what I mean? It comes with consequences. Not everybody embraces it. I put that out there periodically for the people who, send me friend requests, and people who are on my Facebook page or whatever, new friends, longtime friends, just to remind them that, I use Facebook to do philosophy, bro. I use Facebook to speak my mind, and to do so, unapologetically. And if you are offended, as I said, man, by what I say, I mean, all you have to do is just unfriend, brother. You don't have to be here. And I would say this, man, I've lost a lot of folks over the years on Facebook. I mean, there are people who I've known for years who are no longer connected to me, and there are people who there's some folks I may talk to them again in real life, and there are folks that I may never talk to again, you know. And the thing is, man, as I go forward and get older, man, I'm 47, getting closer to 50, man. It just gets deeper, bro. Well, I just don't care. You know what I mean? If you can't roll with this, man, just let's sever our ties and go our separate ways. So that's pretty much what that reflects, bro.
But you know what's funny about that though, man? It's like everybody's able to say what they want to say except for black men. It's like black men are tied to a gate or something.
Mm-hmm.
As it pertains to independent thought. It's like we have to be on board with what everyone says is the politics right now. So if you're not an intersectional political animal, then you're regressive. Like if you offer any critique of any demographic related to intersectional politics or any other, demographic that considers themselves to be oppressed, then all of a sudden, the claim comes, well, you don't care about us. You're homophobic. You're misogynistic. You're engaged in a misogynoir. It's always some claim being made that you are not towing the right political line, and so therefore you're one of the people that need to be canceled. You're the one of the persons that need to be pushed to the periphery. You're one of the people that needs to be marginalized because you're the embodiment of what, for us, is oppression. And to me, given the context of what black men are going through in this country right now, and are always going through in this, how dare you tell black men to be quiet? How dare you tell black men that they need to let somebody else lead when, say, for example, you start a whole movement over a pile of dead black males' bodies? How dare you tell us to be quiet? Like who died and made you God? You know what I'm saying? Like who told you that when it comes to inquiry about any subject matter whatsoever, there was something correct and there was something incorrect, and that those people who are supposedly correct are the moderators of what other people can say? Like, when did that start?
I mean, for me, you know, I have to attribute it to, you know, what has happened. I mean, with the last, you know, 3, 4, 5 decades, man, you know, and the extent to which, um, I'll just say, man, you know, feminists and white liberals and white leftists have, you know, convinced so many, the dominant culture, man, the educated people, the people who have college degrees, the people who, you know, are journalists, the people who are in media, the people who are, you know, all over academia and everything. I mean, the chattering classes, man, the extent to which that they have convinced the entire world that there is no distinction between black men and white men. There's no distinction between black men, regardless of his station in life, and Donald Trump. You know what I mean? And what's crazy about it is that, you know, when you think about white masculinity, you know, white masculinity doesn't really allow a lot of that stuff to go unchecked. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, white masculinity, if you push it enough, and we've seen that with Trump, and you've seen it with the Trumpites. If you push it, you know, enough, it's going to push back at you. Okay. But with black men, it's like we are the demographic that's to be crapped on. We are the demographic that's supposed to be silenced. And it's like there is a consensus that says that nobody should that black men, if we're going to silence any population in this country, the first population to be censored is, you know, the black and male population, man. And it's just, there's just a twisted logic. The educated people are responsible for this. This comes from those who have college degrees, master's degrees, law degrees, the PhDs, all of them. They're the ones who are responsible for this censoring of black men, you know. And the thing about it is, man, the only area that we have had that has allowed us to really express ourselves has been popular culture. I mean, it's been the rappers. The rappers are the only voices in black society, young voices, imperfect voices over the last 30 to 40 years who have had a space to unapologetically talk about their experiences. But beyond the rappers, when you move up and you go into the upper echelons, the middle class, the upper middle class, man, to the 1% and all that kind of stuff, it's a completely different world, man.
You know what? You know what? They talk about it, but they talk about them, you know, amongst themselves in smoky rooms or cigar bars, like, you know, that you're afraid to say something out in public for fear that they might lose their job or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Or fear that they might be perceived as, you know, regressive or perceived as misogynistic or homophobic. You'd be surprised at what these brothers say. Because we know what they say behind closed doors.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
We know what they say.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's a lot of simping going on. It ain't too much. I ain't gonna, you know, I don't want to get derogatory to the point where I'm, you know, making a caricature out of what we're talking about
Right.
this conversation. But it's a lot of simping going on. Ain't too much pimping going on at all. It's a whole bunch of simping, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the thing was, man, I tell you, man, I made a deliberate, you know, choice. You know, it was just a decision on my part, you know, to not do that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when I was coming along, you know, in graduate school and everything, I saw the simping in graduate school, man. I mean, I saw it was in the books, it was in the articles, it was all over the place. You know, the idea was, in order to survive as a black man at that level, you need to shut up. You know, you need to shut up, and you need to go with the program. You know, you need to go with the misandry. You know, don't question the misandry. Just sit and take it like a man. Don't say anything about it, man. But for me, I was like, man, it was too toxic, man. It was like, you know, it's like, I mean, this is immoral. This is dehumanizing, you know. And I mean, this can't go on forever. At some point, you know, someone has to say anything, man. You know, and I've seen it, man. I know, you know, black men, you know, who are in their 60s right now, man, who are in their early 60s and their mid 60s, who are close to retirement. You know, those guys, you know, they earned their PhDs in the early 80s, you know, in the early 90s or what have you. You know what I mean? And they went along with their program, man. They didn't say anything, you know, and they internalized misandry, you know, to the extent, man, that they couldn't even fathom pushing back. You know what I mean? Because for them, it meant that you would lose. It would lose your career. You lose your career. You would lose your standing. And to be honest with you, for a lot of those guys, it was true. I mean, they just that's the environment. That's what it was like, man. You know, in the '90s and the early 2000s and everything. And I talk to those guys, man. When they talk to me, a lot of those guys, man, they keep me at bay. You know, they're very, you know, reluctant to really embrace me because what I represent to them, you know, and even not just me, but other people, man, like, you know, T.S. Johnson and Tom McCurry, man, what we represent something that's completely different from what they were, you know, conditioned to be, man, you know. And I decided, man, if I'm going to do this for 20, 30 years until retirement, until I'm 60, I got to be able to do this thing on my own terms, bro. And I'm going to deal with the consequences, you know, as they come. You know what I mean? And I've dealt with them. I've dealt with them seriously, bro. You know, but I don't regret anything, man. So, you know, my presence on social media is just a reflection of, you know, who I am, you know, not just on social media, man, but even, you know, beyond that. You know, people know that, you know, you know, I go beyond the taboos. I question the taboos. People know, you know, that I'm unorthodox, and I revel in that. You know what I mean? Because I don't have to wear a mask. They know that Ronald Neal speaks his mind, and he paid the cost to speak his mind. You know what I mean? And it's not to say that right now that I'm just like totally immune, you know, from the ninjas and the assassins. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the thing is, man, I made that decision. I decided to go that route, and bro, ain't no turning back.
But you know, it's a cluster of these young guys coming out, man, and they don't give no F's, bro.
And I love it.
You know, like it's a couple of young scholars, bro. They don't care.
I see him and I love it, man. I see him out there, man. Those brothers, they don't give no F's about it, brother. And I love it.
You know, it's like, okay, I see them. You know what I mean? And then, you know, they're absorbing this information, and they come to the realization that, look, you can see it happening in real time. This is not something that happened just in the 80s and 90s. Now, we can talk about the formation
Yeah,
of all, you know, the seeds ideologically of all of it.
yeah,
Well, I'd have been over it 100 times, you know, but I mean, the reality is they will habituate you into a mode of thinking to where you can't think for yourself or think about what is your personal political problems
there you go.
at all. And then when you start to speak about them, the first thing they'll do is use the catchwords to try to line you back in, to push you back into the cubby hole, or to pigeonhole you back into the slot that they have reserved for you. You know, that's why, you know, Dr. Curry came out. The first thing they tried to do was shame him, you know,
Hmm.
and, you know, say nasty little things about him, about his attitude,
Yeah,
not the work. You understand what I'm saying? Not the content of the work, but the way the work was presented.
yep.
You know what I'm saying? Or his demeanor, or his unapologetic facticity about, okay, well, you know, you want to talk about white women, you mean the rapists, the slave owners? You know, so because that's their sacred cow.
Yes, sir.
This society is based upon uplifting and venerating white women.
Yeah, yeah.
Bottom line.
That's it.
I mean, you can talk all you want to, but that's what this culture is about.
That's it.
It's about white women. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, black women have somehow conjoined themselves to the leftist wing of white
Hmm.
women, and they think it's going to, you know, shoehorn them into the same benefits the white
Hmm.
women have. And it has worked. I mean, for the most part,
Hmm.
where white women are and where black women are, they're somewhere around the same, you know, like when it,
Hmm.
you know, incarceration, that's where they are.
Hmm.
When
Hmm.
it comes to getting college degrees and matriculating into jobs, I mean, you know, they might not make as much money, but they still are getting degrees and they're gaining access to the corporate and the academic world.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to that wealth,
Hmm.
what they got?
And that, I mean, and that's the big thing, you know what I mean? And the tragic and the sad thing about it is that from what I see, you know, the black women seem to be content. They content with not having, you know, commensurate wealth. They're content with not having the commensurate power as white women. You know what I mean? They're content with having the marketing machine, you know, behind them, having, you know, the protection of the government, having the interests of corporations in terms of, you know, employment and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, they're happy with that. They're happy with basically getting crumbs. You know what I mean? It's like, a black man, and I'm stretching it here. Okay, you know, a black man. If I cast my lots for a black man, I can get $1. But if I cast my lots for these white women, I can get $2.50. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And
right,
so instead of going with this dollar, I'm gonna go with this 250. You know what I'm saying?
right,
You know, and I'm gonna treat this 250 like it's a major leap from a dollar. You know what I mean?
right.
So that's the scenario I think that black women are in, man. You know, and particularly you talking about the educated professional, black woman. I mean, that's where she is, the one who votes liberal and for Democratic Party and all that kind of stuff, man.
Well, look, I'm just gonna go out here and say it. Like, if I was a black woman, I'd be liberal too.
Yeah.
If we're saying like the person who is political,
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, man. I'm about to get pretty Tony here, man. You know, America's a safe haven for hoes, bro. Like, I'm keeping it 100, man. Like, I'm just had to keep it 100, man. Like, I mean, it is what it is. Pretty Tony. This is a rest haven for whores, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say that, bro.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but this ain't a safe haven for upstanding wives, demure, chaste women. This is a safe haven for women who got WAP or who walk around and act in the behavior of whoredom, bro.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it 100, man.
Yeah.
Single motherhood is the norm right now. They normalized that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, okay, and look, I'm just gonna keep it 100, man. And I said this before on this show, man. And look, when you talk about smash the patriarchy, what you basically saying is, because first of all, you can't smash white men out of this. That will never happen. And there's several practical reasons why that won't ever happen. White women know perfectly damn well that to smash the patriarchy would mean smashing the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force. They ain't gonna smash that. They can't smash it. What? They gonna smash it with the WAP?
Yeah.
I'm just keeping it 100. Like, how they gonna smash it? How they gonna smash it? But with tears? You know what I'm saying? By telling them, I'm mad at you. I mean, like, that, it's ridiculous. It's not gonna happen. Okay? So there's no way you can. We're talking about one of the biggest military powerful nations in the world. There's no way you can't smash that with an ideology. You know what I'm saying? Because you got some jobs at a university, or you've been able to tweak your positioning or your political maneuvering into some jobs at a Fortune 500 company. It ain't gonna happen, bro. That's Trump is letting you know. That's why Trump is the president, bro. Let me go to another one of your quotes, because this segues perfectly into it.
Yeah. Because
there are a lot of people who, they think that Biden and Kamala are just a shoe-in just because. Like just because, like they can click their heels, like they can, without understanding or really being aware of the racial dynamics and how they play out in the United States of America, man.
Yeah.
Like most women are not feminists, bro.
No.
For some reason,
man,
it reached like the media is pumping this shit so heavy,
man,
that you would think that's like where the country is. You know what I'm saying? Like in the like the sum total of what women's opinions are about the worthiness of men and where they actually stand. But the reality is most women are not feminists, bro.
They're not.
You know what I'm saying? Now you might have a bulk of black women that are, but most of this country knows where the real power lies. You understand what I'm saying? They're not gonna just be like, oh well, we're gonna make sure that we let the liberals take over, because right now they don't like the liberals, man. Like
No.
most of America, the heartland America don't
No, bro.
about liberals, bro.
Bro, let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you, man. So you've got New York, particularly New York City, and then you've got the state of California. When you talk about liberalism, all right, in terms of liberalism on steroids, that's what you're talking about. Okay? Outside of that, when you talk about the South and you talk about the Midwest, I'm talking about writ at large, bro. You're not talking about liberalism. You're talking about traditionalism. You're talking about conservatism, bro. Okay? I'm in North Carolina, bro. I mean, these white folks in North Carolina, I mean, they are traditional to the core, bro. I'm sorry, they believe in traditional families, man over woman, that sort of thing. These women, I mean, they vote with their husbands. Okay? I mean, we in college football season. I'll put it like this, man. If this were a traditional, I'm gonna tell you this, man. I've been to college football games, man, in the South, man. I'm talking about PWIs. And brother, let me tell you something, man. You see the extent to which white people are committed to traditionalism. It could be Auburn. You're talking about University of Mississippi, bro. You talk about North Carolina, University of North Carolina, whichever. Okay, Alabama. I mean, these folks right here, bro. They are the furthest thing that you can equate with liberalism. And they run the states. They run the governor's office. They run the state legislature. All of that. So what we see on CNN and MSNBC, the stuff that you get from Hollywood, Netflix and all these other people, Hulu or whatever, I mean, they are not accurate reflections of the United States and never have been. Never have been.
Right.
I mean, the folks who run this country are the folks who believe in traditional families, who believe in money and power. They believe in militarism. Okay, and they believe in white over black, male over female, straight over gay. That's what they believe in, bro.
But you know what's funny about this is, though, see, this is where racial hypergamy comes in, because it's like, there used to be like a little story. I forget who wrote the story, called the Gilded Six Bits. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna prostitute myself for the left right now because I see where the getting is good. This 250 looking real good right now, and I get to go out and use my body however I want. I get to screw whoever I want. Can't no man tell me what to do, or that kind of mentality, right? I mean, so that's the mind state of a black woman right now. I'm just keeping it 100, man. Like, not all of them. I can't speak to all black. A lot of black women, especially in academia, and on the media, right? That's where you hear it, man. Again and again, and you would think that black men had a cadre of black women with aprons on, cooking breakfast, super nice and good every morning. You know what I'm saying? Like they had, like, Leave It to Beaver type stuff. And you would think that that's how men have it now, and that they're resisting against that. When in actuality, what we have is a bunch of women who decided to go it on their own, to do what's in their best self-interest, and to have multiple sex partners. Not be identified as a pick-me. But you know what's weird about all of this, man? Let me just keep this 100, man. How many women, man, like to present themselves? Right, it's becoming increasingly different, but what makes it so odd to me is that most of these women don't want to present as hoes for real at deep down level. They want to find a man and have one at least for a minute. They don't want a man, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't want to just take 8, 9, 10 of them at a time. They want somebody who actually loves them, but they can't actually deal with men because they haven't been trained to. They haven't been educated or socialized in how to deal with men. Ever. They haven't. You know what I'm saying? Well, those who have understand what positive male energy is. But half of women, man, have been reared by women who don't know what positive male energy is themselves. So how can they teach it?
Yeah, and the the crazy thing about it, bro, is that these are the same women who want to say that they are held back by some patriarchy and some system or regime of sexual constraints. And I'm like, I mean, if there are no men in the home, if you have black girls, black female youth who are growing up in households where there are nothing but women, just women, man. You got your auntie, you got your sisters, you got your grandmother. I mean, you got the households, man. I've seen this with my own eyes, man. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
if they do come in contact with men, they come in contact with men who are at the very margins, men who are, who are just, they're hurting, men who, they have no power in society, black men who are just, busted, you know what I'm saying? And they look down on these men and they don't see these men as being valuable and functional. So I'm like, ain't no man holding your sexuality back. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and then when you look at reproduction, you look at the fact that I mean we still dealing with teenagers who are having babies. You still got young women who are having babies, man. Women in their 20s, 25 years old, 26 years old. I live in I live in the city, man. I see it all the time, bro. I mean, it's like, dude, man, it's not uncommon to meet a woman who is 28 years old and has at least three kids. You know what I mean? Who's
Got
never been married.
3 different dudes.
Yeah, who's never been married, bro. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
And she, sees herself as some head of a household or whatever. You know what I mean? And she's benefiting from the state. She's benefiting from all sorts of grants. She's benefiting from, whatever work that she gets. And there are all sorts of support mechanisms that are out there for women with children and everything. You have an entire, bureaucracy that caters to women with children. You know what I mean? And so, I'm like, so this idea that, there's some black men, trying to control a black woman's sexuality is ludicrous, man. It is ludicrous. So when they talk about this WAP stuff and try to defend it and act as though, black men are really preventing them from expressing themselves sexually, I mean, it's just nonsense, man. And we haven't even talked about the other part of it, man, the lesbians and the studs and everything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they do. Ain't nobody stopping them from doing what they're doing, bro.
Hey, but hold on, before we get to that, I want to give a shout out to lady Miss Thing Green. She just became a member. Thank you so much, young lady. Appreciate that, Miss Thing Green. And also, I want to give a shout out to the Truth. 360. Now you know. So I'm just giving a shout out to those persons, man. Make sure to hit the like buttons, share, subscribe the video. We going live, man. We going in on a Monday. You better believe it. You know what I'm saying? We here to cook the diet. You know what I'm saying? We got the grease on about 400 degrees. We got the powder. We got the fish. We got the chicken. We here to cook, baby. You know what I'm saying? So, and shout out to BGS, man. Appreciate you, my brother. Shout out to you, my brother. But the funny thing about it, this is the craziest thing to me, brother. And this is just, from my personal observation. These women who claim that they don't want a man to tell them what to do will be the first women to blow up a man's car if he does what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Slash his tires.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just keeping it 100 now. Like, you talk about possessiveness. You get what I'm saying?
I got you. Yeah.
Run the man's name in the street because he's exploring his sexuality. He's doing he's planting his seeds.
Mm-hmm.
He's planting them. But I guess that's too much to ask for. I guess we gotta celebrate the WAP, but not that hard ride.
Mm-mm.
You can't. No. But the funny thing is, here's the real deal, bro. Real deal, man.
Mm-hmm.
They think this gravy train gonna last forever, man.
I know.
Gravy train is something that they deserve, or something they merit just by virtue of being them. Let me just say this. I don't mean to look. I want to also give a shout out to my brother Seven Coast Dojo. You feel me? I want to give him a shout out. Now, I don't want to sound deprecating to the ladies out here. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to be honest with you. And I'm going out on a limb here, man. You know what I'm saying? But I just got to tell them the truth. 'Cause I don't want to sound deprecating to the ladies out here. I really don't. And I, I'm going out on a limb here, man. You know what I'm saying? But I just got to tell them the truth. 'Cause I don't want to sound deprecating to the ladies out here. I really don't. And I, I'm going out on a limb here, man. You know what I'm saying? But I just got to tell them the truth. Just because you was born a woman doesn't make you special, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, neither does a man. Just because he's born a man make him special. It's what men and women do that makes them special.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
You got male animals who are mammals, and you got female animals that are mammals, and half of the mammalian species that are female can gestate children in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
We don't say that there's some sort of female cat magic on that account. You know what I'm saying? And neither is it magical for you to be able to spread your seed through ejaculation. It's what you do with what you got. And, and for some reason, we are trained to believe that people are special because they're born special. Just like people deserve things and they merit things, just owing it to the fact that they are a certain sex. You know, your value comes from what you do, not what you are. That's the thing that needs to be taught to our people, man. You feel me? Because I deserve this and that because I'm a woman. Or I'm a man, I deserve X, Y, and Z. No, you got to put in work. That's how you earn your scratch. That's how you earn your keep, man. And but before I move on, man, I want to say this. Yeah. You said this, brother.
Yeah.
Do you know why I think Donald J. Trump will be reelected in November? Because the white people who support Trump do not want to trade places with Black Americans. These white people will do everything in their power, including die, to not have the status of Black people in the United States. This is a major psychological force which will drive white people to the polls in November. Talk to us, brother. You already said something about it, but like, what's the real deal going on there,
man? Brother, you know, I mean, that is that's the elephant in the room, you know, is that white people, and this is a historical thing, bro. You know, white people have, you know, Black people have, all the stuff we've gone through in this country, man, you know, 400 years, you know, slavery and segregation, you know, and everything up to this point, man. You know, Black people have never retaliated. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I mean, we don't have an ISIS. We haven't produced a Boko Haram. We haven't produced an Al Qaeda. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We haven't, you know, created a terrorist type of culture that would keep this country in a constant state of war. You know what I'm saying? And I think deep down, white people understand that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And white people know, and like, if they're honest with themselves, it's like, how in the hell can any sane person allow themselves to go through this crap? You know what I'm saying? You know, for as long as Black people have endured it, you know. So that's one part of it that the white people understand, I think, at an unconscious psychological level. Man, I have to pull out Carl Jung,
right.
You know, to really go in on that. You know what I'm saying? So that's one level of it right there. But the other aspect of it is the fact that, you know, white people are declining, man. I mean, white people in the Western world, in Europe, and here in the United States, the numbers are falling. I mean, you got, you know, white folks who are, you know, strung out on opioids. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's been an increase in terms of HIV infection among white folks who are dealing with opioids, bro. You know, I mean, they are, you know, they are really suffering the effects of global change, globalization, economic catastrophe, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you've got, you know, their families, the aspects of white, you know, working class life that, you know, are mirroring Black life. You know what I mean? I mean, who is it? The conservative, you know, theorist Charles Murray. You know, he's written about this stuff, you know, over the years, you know, about white people in Northeastern Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? You know, males, you know, jobless males and women raising children by themselves. And I think you have a larger segment of the white population who are more affluent, the ones who are more stable and everything like that. They look at stuff like that, and then they look at Black people. And it's like you talked about this a week ago. You know, the canary in the coal mine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the canary in the coal mine, bro. And the thing about it is that no, they don't want to trade places with black people. And the thing about it, here's the thing. They see how black people's condition in politics is married with gay politics, it's married with immigration politics, it's married with everything that they associate with decline, everything that they associate with moral decline, economic decline, you name it, you know. And they don't want to be there. They want to keep their families together. They want to keep their money. They want to stay on top of this society. They don't want their communities to look like, you know, 70% of Black America. You know what I mean? And they look at what liberalism, our relationship with liberal politics, mayors, state reps, governors, you name it. I think deep down, it's like if we continue to, you know, enfranchise these people or what have you, and expand their influence, it ultimately is going to affect us. And so Trump comes along and he talks about, you know, make America great again. It's about maintaining white dominance. You know what I mean? We don't want to be at the bottom. We want to be at the top. You know, so Trump, Trump is dealing with China. Trump is dealing with Russia. Trump is dealing with North Korea. You know, Trump has a mentality, and those who follow him, of remaining, you know, on top. You know, the left has given this image that America needs to be a society where everybody is just, you know, on the same level, where it's just flat, where there are no distinctions between, you know, rich and poor, white and black, gay and straight, or whatever. There's no hierarchy. And these white conservatives, they are intent in not having it, brother, and they will die. They will give up their lives before this happens. It's like the Titanic. You know what I mean? It's like the Titanic. You know, instead of they will go down with the ship, brother. They will go down with the ship.
Right.
You know, before getting completely off of it.
But you know, it's funny though, because when you said that like these white folks will risk their lives or give up their lives to fight to maintain their way of life, which seems to be crumbling all around them, even just in the media. I'm pretty sure they can, you know, see it, right?
Yeah.
But the funny thing is when you talk about black people and, you know, how black people have pretty much been passive. We've been like so kind and, you know, so demure and so hopeful and so meliorist, meaning we looking forward to the good part. Like, you know,
Yeah.
one day we will finally be absorbed into this population and be treated like one of the family.
That's it.
But the one thing is, these white folks, man, when they founded this country, they said, give me liberty or what, my brother?
Give me death. That's it.
But you know what they also fought over?
Mm-hmm.
Taxation without representation, man.
That's it.
That's what they fought over. They didn't fight because they were actually slaves. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
They didn't fight because they were subjected to segregation.
Yeah.
They fought because they were being taxed and not represented in the parliament.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Other white people.
They know well what they've done to us, man. They know damn well what they done to us, bro. And for somebody who's black to argue that being radical, being militant is out of the question is a fool.
Mm-hmm.
And to the extent that you got black women that's co-signing this because they act like this gravy train is going to be here for them.
It ain't no, bro.
They're going to act like it's, thank you, Dr. Johnson. Also, Dr. J, what's good with you, my brother, man? I appreciate your presence this afternoon. This evening. I also want to give a shout out to Michael Green and Eric Henry. I see y'all on the Cash App, man. Oh, please support the channel. We out here working hard, man. We out here trying to pay the bills and keep it grooving and moving. So at any rate, This also goes to culture, though, brother. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It goes to their culture.
Yeah.
They see it as abnormal to not have a man in the household. And we all know
Of course.
they know the deleterious effects that accrue when you don't have strong male presence in
Brother.
children's lives.
Brother.
And so,
Brother.
but this brings me to your quote, though, because I want to hit you on it. You know what I'm saying? Because you already said something about it. This is what you say. Abnormal conditions. One parent. There's nothing normal about children being raised primarily by one parent.
Mm-hmm.
This is unique to the last 60 years of the West. If you are aware of societies over the last 500 to 1,000 years where this condition has existed as a norm without any problems, please tell me. Based on my research, no past society has supported this condition.
Mm-hmm. It hasn't. Here's the thing, brother. I mean, you know, feminists, the black feminists and the other folks, the liberals, the black liberals and the white, the people, they have put out this idea that somehow or another that a single parent family is some advancement, that children being raised by a mother represents the quintessence of enlightenment and progress. Okay? And bro, you can't if you're a student of history. So today, man, before I was getting ready for, I'm teaching a class, you know, called Intro to Religion. Man, I have a section that I'm teaching on indigenous religions, bro, and I'm reading about Mexico, Mesoamerica, before the Spaniards came, man, and conquered. You know, reading about Cuba, what became Cuba before the Spaniards conquered, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And looking at family life and religion. Okay, when you look at those histories and what was left in terms of records, bro, I mean, you have traditional structures. You have traditional structures of men and women who are raising children together, families, extended families, and everything. Okay, and it's not just in terms of Mesoamerica, but I'm terms African cultures, bro. You know what I'm saying? I mean, how is it, man? When you think about Africa and African, countries and the like, and even not just Africa, but the Caribbean, man, and those who come here from Africa and the Caribbean who've experienced colonization, and some have had histories of slavery. Okay, somehow or another, their family structures were able to endure. Okay, and they come over here and they outperform all of us. Okay. And so the thing is, man, if you look cross culturally, you look at Asian cultures, you look at the South Asians. I mean, look at Kamala Harris, bro. Look at her family. You know, in the media, there's not a whole lot of talk about her father, what have you, man. But if you look at her mother, you look at the total, panorama of her life. You know, she was influenced by a structure. If you look at South Asians, bro, I work with South Asians, man. You know, I mean, they have an intact culture of arranged marriages. They have a culture that's existed for thousands of freaking years. Okay. And so the thing is that what we have in the West is abnormal. The idea of one parent raising a child, that is a recent development in world history. The last 60 years. And what has happened is that the liberals and the feminists try to sell it to the world as though it's something I mean, it's like the internet. They want to treat it like it's the internet and cell phones. This is the most important advance that's ever happened, in the world, and we need to support it. And then what happens is that they'll look at other societies. They'll look at Scandinavia. They'll look at the Swedes or what have you. They'll look at other white societies that are affluent, and they'll look at white societies that are affluent, that have socialistic systems where there are no black people there, and they'll look at the single parent situation there and say, oh, they're doing okay. They're not having problems with the single parents, but those societies are affluent.
Right.
So this stuff, right, what we're dealing with is abnormal. And white people, here's the thing, bro. The white heterosexuals, women and men, they have always looked at us this way in a relationship to the single parent thing. They look at us as being abnormal, as being deviant, even in the face of history and historical economic circumstances that created single parenthood, circumstances that depressed Black men, that kept Black men out of markets, that kept Black men from performing traditional roles of masculinity as a father, provider, that sort of thing. Okay?
Right.
And so they don't want that for themselves.
And you know what, basically what they've done is they problematized masculinity. And the thing about, look, masculinity is useless when some other men come in with some guns and some weapons, and they about to slap you with them guns and weapons or hit you with your head, that hot lead. But what happens when you have a culture that problematizes masculinity to such a degree that the very people who are supposed to actually protect you, they can't do it because you raised a whole bunch of simps and maggles. That's what we call them here. You understand what I'm saying? So you got a whole bunch of men that you taught to be subservient to you and to not think for himself and to be independent, to not be reflective and strategic. You taught him that he ain't worth nothing. And the only thing that's really operative on him that's of any value is his phallus, his penis. You know, or if he does have something to say, he needs to say it quick and move to another room and go watch television because he's not going to be allowed to be a leader in his own home. Mm-hmm. You know, like what that is not normal. It is not.
It's not normal, brother. Not normal, man. I would go so far to say that it's backwards. Okay, it is socially engineered backwardsness that we have accepted, and it took a long time for me to get to this place. But I had to admit it, and I said on Facebook, I had to admit it, that it reflects failure on our part because we surrendered. We you know, there are external forces that we have to deal with that are beyond our control, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the economics and all that. You know, I mean, we're 13% of the population. We're living under a dominant regime that exerts lots of power over us. Okay, but this dominant regime historically has never been so hegemonic that we have never had any sort of agency, you know, that we've never been in a position to do for ourselves. You know, I mean, when you look at, you know, what happened, what Black people did after slavery, you know, in terms of attempting to build a life for themselves, I mean, that gives you an idea of what Black folks have done, you know, in the face of a hostile environment, you know, educating ourselves, you know, increasing our literacy rates, you know, building institutions, you know, in the absence of government and all of that. And this is a narrative that conservatives, Black conservatives, have preached for a very, very long time. And I have to be honest with you, bro, the Black conservatives are not completely wrong with their narrative. They are correct that it was in the late 1960s and 70s, you know, when you had this major interference by the government, which you know, helped to disrupt our lives, you know. And so the thing is that we accepted a lot of that. You know, the women accepted it. Black men were unprepared for what happened, and eventually they surrendered to it, you know. And so here we are in a situation where it's like, you know, either we're going to continue to accept, you know, what has been placed before us, or we fight for something different.
And you know, the funny thing about it is, this just goes back to the culture wars. Because let me just say this, man. As far as I'm concerned, the thing that differentiates the left from the right is culture. Bottom line. So you got the white people on the right who don't want to see their families devolve into single parent homes, yeah, with a whole bunch of people on the dole or on the dime from the government, right? Yeah. And then you got the people on the left who want a humongous government to just give them all kinds of subsidies, yeah, you know, and somehow, you know, you got Black women who become comfortable with being on the dole. I mean, or either they become comfortable with pushing the narrative that we're better than our men are. Our men are regressive. Our men are abusive. Our men are rapists. Our men are patriarchal. It's women's time now, without knowing that at the end of the day, man, these people can cut that spigot off anytime they get ready, man.
Anytime.
Anytime they get ready, man. So if you start to see something go down in this country, man, they will turn that spigot off so fast, and then these people will not know what the hell to do, man. And you've seen flashes and signs of it, you know, already with this COVID thing, you know. But if it get real in the field, it ain't real yet.
Listen, man. I've, for me personally, over the years, looking at the situation, and coming to the same conclusions that you've arrived at, man. It's like, I think that this country can look like other parts of the world, the non-Western world. You know what I mean? You can have, America can be in a situation where part of it is a so-called third world. I mean, it's there now, but I think it would be more dramatic. And I think, there are parts of Africa. I mean, you can look at, Nigeria. They don't give it. They don't have what we have in terms of an infrastructure and social network for poor people. If you are a poor person, in Nigeria, bro, you done. Okay, you don't have a government that's trying to lift you up. If you're a poor woman, you don't have anything traveling. In much of the so-called third world, that's the way it is. There are no safety nets. And the thing about it is that where we're going now, yeah, I think that would be a part of the backlash, that you have these folks who are on the right, and Donald Trump is, he's the ringleader right now. You know what I mean? But there are other people waiting in the wing. They can bring in an entirely new scenario, bro. Or they reverse all of the type of mechanisms that have been put in place to help poor people, elderly people, those who are on the margins. They will reverse everything, going back to the New Deal with FDR. They will reverse that overnight and have people destitute. And the same women that you're talking about, they'll be on the streets, prostituting themselves, selling their bodies to feed themselves and to feed their kids, bro. I'm telling you, I can see it happening. I can see it happening because, right now, the resentment is already there. It doesn't matter who's going to be the president. I think that we need to prepare for a major backlash, because what the white law and order people see right now is an absence of structure, an absence of order. And it's like, you know what? This country is going. We'll go straight to hell if we don't put some new structures in place. And Black people, unfortunately, will be the guinea pigs. We will be the experimental animals, or however you want to articulate it, for this new regime of order.
We are the canaries in the coal mines. They already seeing what the effects of all of this social engineering and programming has done to the Black community. They're looking at it, and they don't like it. They're like, "What's wrong with you people? There's something fundamentally flawed with you guys." That is what they're saying about us.
That's what they're saying, yeah.
Okay, so but here's the deal. So Captain Cisco, basically, he has a super chat question. He says, "Do you have any information on the Black Father Matter organization and what they're about?" You ever heard of that, brother?
No, I've never heard of this organization. No.
So dig up some information on that. Somebody, what is the Black Father Matters organization, and what's his contribution at the current moment politically to Black men? I also want to give a shout out to Kalon Jakala. Appreciate your donation, my brother. And I also want to give a shout out to Forrest Windu. Appreciate you, my brother. And thank you for becoming a member of the Green Gorilla channel over here. Now, they don't understand that backlash can happen. But, and also, like, I try to let people know that the way things are now, this is unprecedented in the history of mankind on this planet. Because primarily what you always see everywhere throughout the entirety of the world are patriarchal societies.
Yeah.
That's what you see. Now, you can talk about whether or not it ought to be that way or it ought not to be that way, but that's just the way that it has been, okay? And in this country in particular, what you start to see is a change in the perception of who has full stewardship of children. Because, and I'm trying to let y'all know, less than 200 years ago, man, before there was something called the Custody of Infants Act, which was passed in 1839 in Britain.
Mm-hmm.
Men receive full custody of children during divorces. And I'm going to keep repeating this until it becomes etched into the conscious of people in the manosphere, that this is something that has nothing to do with what is natural. This is a social change. This is a social manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, in 1873, the British Parliament extended the age, because initially in 1839, the act was that women could petition, just the way men petition the court in family courts now, all throughout the entirety of America, to get visitation for their kids. Women were able to petition to get visitation with their kids, okay? But they extended it to the age of 16 in 1873, and it was called the Tender Years Doctrine. This is when things began to change, and you really actually see a shift in patriarchy. Now, I don't know the social conditions which underlie this, the decision of these, legislators to, make that shift. I can't tell you. I can't explain why.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know that they did make that shift. They made that change, and they had to have made it for a reason. So that's something I'm going to look up for you all and try to give you some intel on, because that's important. Now, another thing that it must be known, man, there's no kid out here who is, to the best of my knowledge, right, unless you're a test tube baby. There ain't a kid out here that just has a mother, unless your mother, was the Blessed Virgin Mary, which I highly doubt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
Okay? So, but now you have this idea that women are entitled to have possession of children.
Yeah.
When did that ever come to pass, that women perceive themselves as being in complete stewardship of children and have no deference to the will or the input of a father? When, like, what kind of craziness is this, man?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the kids are suffering on account of it.
Mm-hmm.
They know that something's amiss. They know it's not natural to see for your mama, you to be a young man, and you about 8, 9 years old, and you done seen your mother have 2 or 3 boyfriends in 1 year. That's not natural for a boy to see that. And they're happy with that, man.
Yeah. Or a girl. Yeah. 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 And the thing, like I said, man, I mean, this, what we're talking about is unique to the last 50 to 60 years, okay, of the United States, in particular, and the West in general, and I'll continue to say it. I mean, so I mean, when we talk about the women and the kind of haughtiness of women, or you can call it the arrogance or the narcissism that we deal with, and the kind of narcissism which makes women think that they are self-made, that they are complete automatons, it's one that betrays history. It betrays the fact that you were situated in a moment in time that opened up the world to women that was unprecedented, just unprecedented, bro, in terms of courts, in terms of just legal mechanisms across the board. And the sad thing is that it's very difficult for women to hear that. It's very difficult because they want to believe that somehow or another, based on their merit, based on their specialness, uniqueness, being exceptional, that this is the reason why they have the status that they have. Think about this. I mean, I just use examples. I mean, people, and these are women who don't have kids, don't have real families, Oprah Winfrey, or Condoleezza Rice, those women were not possible prior to 1970. They were not possible. Okay, all this stuff that we're talking about was not possible prior to 1970, man. And the thing is, as you're right, this can come to an end at any moment. And what's happening right now is that you have Yeah, you have forces within white society, dominant white society, conservative forces who don't care about democracy. They don't care about the idea of equality. They don't care about constitutionalism or what have you. Okay, they will go back to the same sensibilities that the Confederates had. They would double down. Well, I mean, it's already there. They would double down on those sensibilities. Okay, and they would destroy the United States. Okay, before black people, black women have any parity with them, bro. You know, and unfortunately, the women, that we have in mind, they can't see past what's, in front of them. Unfortunately, they can't see the big picture. They can't see 50 years, 60 years, 100 years ahead of them. All they can see is what's going on right now, bro.
And look, so basically, right now, the narrative is that women have been left out of history, and it's been men forcing them out of history. And my idea about it all is that, look, women have always had their own worlds and their own spheres of action and interaction, and they controlled them. But men have been in the public sphere. Women have maintained control over the private sphere. And look, don't get it twisted. A lot of these women will tell you that women don't have any power. But these Southern women, all those Confederate statues you see in the South, they were erected by white women. White women, but all this voting and all of this being involved in politics, man, those women are the women who organize, raise money and funds to venerate their white men and to put them in power.
Yeah,
Because those men serve their interests.
of course. Of course, of course.
They've always done this. But for some reason, we can't get our women to actually see that there's any value in making that kind of move at all. Because they'd rather, I'm just saying, it's like the streets, man.
Yeah.
Like it's like, I feel like I'm the future right now. I got my shades on, I got my orange and blue striped shirt. I'm in the back of the Maybach, and I'm got my hands clasped like I'm praying to God. She belongs to the streets.
Yeah. And when you think about it, man, and yeah, it's unfortunate we have to use these type of examples or what have you, man. But if you got a woman who is out there whoring and she got one kind of pimp, again, who can get her, you know, um, $5, and I'm stressing it again. But there's another pimp that's out there that can get her 20. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean, the rules, how the game works.
right.
Okay, she gonna jump ship. Okay, it doesn't matter how good the pimp who got her $5, treated her or whatever, or, took care of and all that kind of stuff, bro. She gonna go to the highest bidder, bro. You know what I'm saying? And that's history. I mean, and it goes back to conquest, man. And again, man, when you really have to study the history of conquest, man. I mean, and really, man, study this. I mean, you look at the Spaniards, man. What the Spaniards did, man, was so interesting, man. You look at what the Spaniards did. The Spaniards went into, again, the Caribbean. They went into Cuba, man. They went into what we know now as South America, and they took over, bro. And one of their strategies of conquest was taking the women. You take the women, you domesticate them, you turn them into house servants, you rape them, you impregnate them, you produce children with them, and you make them your own. And what do? You kill off the men. You kill off the men, man. You know. I mean, and beyond the Spaniards, and more recent example, man, the Boko Haram. The terrorists in Nigeria. What did they do in northern Nigeria, man? The terrorists, man, they went into those villages, man, and they killed the boys. They got rid of all the boys. They slaughtered the boys, bro. And they took the girls. And what did they do? They took the girls. If they didn't sell them off into slavery, they impregnated them. Okay, they turned them into domestic workers. They turned them into concubines and all that kind of stuff. All right, and that's how you control them, man. That's how you control them. And that tactic has been used over and over again by invaders, by conquerors, and that is the tactic that was used against black people. Okay? I mean, look at New Orleans, miscegenation, man. I mean, white males did that all throughout the South. Okay? And so there's a memory that's there. And and we, I mean, we were powerless against it. We were powerless because we were stripped. We were taken from our own native lands, and we were transported to a foreign place, something that was unfamiliar to us, man. And we were dominated. You know, and women, they naturally gravitate towards the dominant class. That's just that just seemed to me. It seems to be a historical fact, man. They navigate. They go towards the males who have the most power, even if the males don't even look like them, they will go towards them.
And there you have racial hypergamy.
Yeah.
And I mean, like we have to be able to explain it realistically, because what you're gonna get is a whole bunch of smoke and mirrors. That's to me what feminism is for real, like a bunch of smoke and mirrors. First of all, to me, I'm just gonna keep it 100. Like, if you really want to know what feminism is to me, it's a ruse. It was a way for white women to disrupt black men being able to enter on par with white men and to be able to have control over their own culture and their own community. That's what it was to me. Okay. Then you got black women who say, you know what? These Negroes, they're not in power. Let's do the racial hypergamy thing, and we'll keep them in check. They can't tell us nothing. And if they do something to any of us to try to get us in check, guess what we're going to do? We're going to call white men to settle the score. I hate to say that. I hate to put it out there like that and let it be known. But to me, intersectional politics really is hypergamy politics, man. I hate to say it.
I mean, I totally agree with you, bro. I mean, it's the difference between taking a shortcut, to status, the immediate gratification route versus the long term. The long term route involves you working with someone over a long period of time. The long term means that you're making an investment. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're putting money in the stock market. Whereas the short term route, it's kind of like, being an athlete, man, being a football player, basketball player, and you casting your lots with sports, hoping that, before you become, before you reach the age of 25, you're a multi-millionaire. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think that's the latter route is what, a lot of, not all, of course, not all black women, but the ones who are most influential in American society, the ones who have the most influence in black culture. I mean, that's the route that they took. You know what I'm saying? And I said it before. I mean, once that gender card was like an American Express card, bro. Once that gender card was given to them, okay, they took it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you didn't have to have anything to get that gender card, and you took it, and so I mean that's what we're dealing with, and it has not changed to this day. You know what I mean? I mean, you've seen it, man. You've been in the game. I mean, we come from an era we saw dope boys and we saw the trap. You know what I mean? And we saw what happened, in the drug game in terms of women and hypergamy. Man, we saw that, man. That during the 90s and in the 80s and all that kind of stuff in the early 2000s, bro. That was just hypergamy on steroids, man. You know what I'm saying? She goes to the one who has the greatest resources. She goes to the one who has the most power, the most status and everything, and that's what we've dealt with.
Well, in the end, though, it's funny though, because these white men will screw them, but they ain't gonna wife them. I mean, they'll wife some of them, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, by and large, that they ain't moving like that. They ain't swirling like that.
No, man.
They're not swirling like that because they feel like these women are depraved.
No,
They
no,
feel
no.
like they don't understand the natural order of things. Because I can guarantee you this: that white guy, he might let it give her some, accoutrements, but he ain't gonna let her run the show.
Mm-mm.
You know, he ain't gonna let her run the show, bro.
No,
He just
no.
ain't gonna let her do it, man. You know.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Yeah, and a lot of times, I mean, she gonna let him run the show because she's grown up watching him run the show. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
mean, from the time that she was a child, she turned the TV on. Who's the most elevated, celebrated, male in the society? He don't look like us. I mean, he runs the government, he runs the banks. You know what I'm saying? He runs the schools. He runs everything. You know what I mean? He runs law enforcement. I mean, he's presented to her as the most competent. He's the heartthrob in the movie theaters and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And so, so subconsciously, she has already, accepted ideas about him being competent and about him having authority and all that kind of stuff. And so she comes with a kind of psychological preparation for that, you know. And so that works to his benefit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Uh, but even with that, here's the thing. Um, it does come with some qualifications. You know what I'm saying? Because if he lets her fully into the door, okay, you look like at a Robert De Niro type of guy. If he lets her fully into the door and he marries her, and he's with her for an extended period of time, all right, then she can flip that script. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But how often does that happen?
Yeah.
How often?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, black women are fetishized, man. They fetishized. They're just seen as exotics, and he's gonna play with her, what have you. He might date her for a short period of time, and sometimes, he might marry her. You know what I mean? And even in those, and I would say this, even in those cases that I have observed, she's not marrying the dude who's the king of the mountain, bro. So she's not always marrying Robert De Niro. You know, she's marrying some other, basic dude. Who, if he were black, she would not even give him a second look.
And this brings me to another issue, man, that you talked about. We all know Barack Obama was one time the president of this here United States.
Yeah.
And recently Michelle Obama came out in public saying all of the challenges that she has to face being married to Obama, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what you say that is she full of contempt and resentment, like a woman who is convinced that she could have chosen better, or is she full of contempt and resentment, like a woman who competes with her husband, yet cannot escape his successful shadow? What's going on there? Like, a lot of times women feel like they're in direct competition with their men. Like, I always used to say this, man. Like, if we playing a game and I got a role to play and you got a role to play, like you can't be the center and the point guard at the same time. You can, if you Magic Johnson or something like that, an exceptional player, but typically people have roles to play. You understand what I'm saying? Like you can't be the quarterback
Yeah.
and the running back or the receiver at the same time. You can't throw yourself an 80-yard go route. You can't do that. So there's specialization and division of labor in the context of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I wake up and I'm competing with a woman because she feels contemptuous of the fact that I'm out here doing something successful and people are paying attention to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's like defeating the purpose of being a team, ain't it?
It kills it. It kills a team. It kills a team. And here's the thing, bro. I mean, look at so Barack and Michelle. stand out because they were the first, black family, in the Oval Office and everything, bro. All right, all right. Who came before them, bro? All right, you had Barbara Bush. I'm sorry, you had Laura Bush and George Bush. You had Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton. You had Ronald Reagan. You had Nancy. If we look at our most recent, couples, first couples, bro, can you look at the history and see any type of public expression where a first lady expresses some type of resentment or contempt towards her husband? I can't think of it, bro. Even I mean, Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is an ambitious person. Hillary Clinton, she's your quintessential liberal feminist. Okay, I can't think of a moment when she was interviewed apart from her husband or what have you, where she just spoke with him in a very unflattering way. You know what I mean? Just where there was just this idea that she was in competition with him, or that she had to diminish him. You know, being that he was a man that was widely popular. We know how much people like Bill Clinton. He was a charismatic guy. He's a very likable guy, especially when he was a president. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And to have his wife say things about him personally and about their private lives, that would indicate to the world that he was lesser. All right. Not just humanizing him, but to diminish him, man. You know, and what we have with that dynamic, with Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, man, is something that is just it's within black culture. That black women, have a psychology collectively. I ain't gonna say this is not true by every individual black woman, but black women take pride in reducing black men to boys, to treating us and perceiving us, and to articulating their connection to us in very infantilized terms. That like that they're our mothers, okay, and that they have to bring us down to earth. So it's as though when Barack, I remember when he campaigned, man, back in '07 and '08 and everything, '07 in particular, and everyone was just so enamored with Barack Obama. And she went out of her way, to say, he ain't all that. He leaves his drawers here, and he forgets to do this, and I have to raise these kids by myself. That kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
That's part of the visibility politics, man. That's what black men are experiencing at this very moment, man. It's the need to be seen, the need to assert oneself and to not be perceived as someone who, in any shape, form, or fashion, is not the center of it all, but the substance of it all.
yeah,
And if there's any attention given to anyone else beyond that of that individual, then you're gonna be made to pay because they have to have their way. I've never seen this, man. I like this visibility politic.
yeah,
I've never understood it.
yeah.
That's why I did another show talking about. I wish I could fly under the radar.
Mhm.
I wish I was that indescript person who could just, like wherever I go, I'm not even being paid attention to. Like, oh, he,
Mhm.
like, okay, well, that's, like you scan in the room for threats, and then you look at that person and you say, okay, well, that's not a threat. And then you get to do what you need. You get to maneuver how you want to. You get to move. But instead, we got to check you. We got to let you know what you did wrong. It's like, I'm going to tell you, like you said again, bro, the perennial mother. Like, and I used to tell women this all the time. And I told them, I was like, look, my mother is dead.
Yeah, yeah,
My mother is dead.
yeah.
I don't have another mother.
There you go.
I don't have a grandmother. There ain't nobody that's my mama that's in this world. No one.
Yeah,
I don't have a mother.
yeah,
I don't have one mother in this world. She gone.
yeah.
So you can't feel that place. And it ain't for you to act like you're about to feel that place and to tell me what my manhood consists in. And that is a problem.
Oh yeah.
is the problem. You got black women telling men what to be like as men. And you don't want men to define what you are as a woman. So how you gonna come along and tell me how to be and conduct myself as a man? And it's become so hubris filled that they believe that they can raise young men, and young boys into men. They feel like they can take them through them transition phases.
Yeah.
That's what no culture, except for a liberal culture that puts at the highest precipice a fake and a phony kind of negative liberty. It ain't a substantive negative liberty. It's a phony kind of negative liberty, not to be interfered with, to be able to do what one wants, right? But at the same time, feeling that they have the power to produce magic in the world and to do things that no one has ever pretended to be able to do. Like, at a certain age, boys were set off apart from their mothers and to never return to their mother's breast again. Like, that is over with. It's done. Like, your relationship with your mother-son relationship with her is dead. It's over. You are no longer part of that class.
That's it.
It's done. It is gone, done. It is finished.
That's it.
You no longer tell your son what to do at all. He is a man, a warrior, in fact. But we don't even want to instill that kind of thinking in our young boys. We want them to be functionally illiterate. We want them to be incapacitated so that the woman can perform racial hypergamy, man. That's ridiculous to me, man.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is, and it's based on, the fact that, the decimation of black men in this country. I mean, we know it. I mean, it's been socially engineered. You remove us from the economy. You impede us. You prevent us from competing with the rest of the world. Okay, through policies. Through criminalization, through all sorts of things. Okay, so you take us off the chessboard. All right, and so because we're off the chessboard, she's in a different position. And then when you add the subsidies and opportunities and all that kind of stuff, and she's in this place where she thinks she's doing it all by herself. Okay, and then it doesn't help when you have black people in the larger black culture who fuse that mentality, who don't look at our situation from a larger context, a historical perspective, man. And yeah, I agree with you, man. It is completely abnormal. I mean, and what's so interesting, you look at Michelle Obama, man. Michelle Obama, she grew up in a 2-parent household, bro. She grew up, with an intact family in Chicago and all that, man. Not just 2 parents, but extended family and all that kind of stuff, And I'm like, when I posted that article, I mean, she's doing a podcast, and you're 4 years removed from the presidency. You were the first lady for 2 terms, okay? And you're talking publicly about, your reservations about marriage and what you don't like about marriage and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what does that happen, bro? What in the world? I mean, your private life, you just put your private life out there. All right. And your intimate relations with your husband, it becomes currency, and you have no problem with that. And you know what? The reason why you don't have any problem with that, because you have a black culture, a black female culture that thinks it's okay, that supports it. You go, girl. This is how we operate. And we operate like that even when we know that black men who think, black men who are self-actualized don't like it. I don't like it. You don't like it. But they think it's okay.
Yeah, it's like, like somebody, you're in public and you're talking about you're sitting next to your lady and you're talking to a strange group of people at a bar or something like that, and you talk about her job, she talks about your job, and then she's got something negative to say about your job, but you said nothing negative about her job at all. But just to let you know that you might think you the shit, but you really ain't shit compared to me.
There you go.
Stop that, man. Like at some point, that's got to stop, man. Like be you and be you excellently. It doesn't. You don't have to be you at my expense. You feel what I'm saying? You don't have to take a dig at me and sneak diss me in order for you to feel good about you. Be you, man. You know what I'm saying?
And here's the thing. So you're in a situation where there's this competition, right? It's just this endless competition. And then when you look at the other groups, you have to look cross culturally. And it's like, is this happening with Latinos, all the Latino groups, man? I look at I grew up in Miami, man. I grew up around Cubans, man. You know, and I look what Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, okay, other folks, man. Then you look beyond that. You look at look at the Haitians, man. I look at Jamaicans. I look at the Nigerians, the continental Africans, man. You look at the Chinese, bro. Okay, you look at the Koreans, man, and it's like, is this happening over there? Does this dynamic does it exist right there? You know what I'm saying? And I'm inclined to say that it doesn't. That what we're dealing with is something that's peculiar to the United States. It is peculiar to Black culture, Black society. It is born out of our unique experience right here. And again, I'm gonna say it. No, there's nothing normal about it. Ain't nothing normal about our status, man. Ain't nothing normal about the status of Black men in America. And I would never say that our status is ideal. Never say that. I would never say that the status of a Black woman is ideal, that it's normal. It ain't normal, And what happens is you have these liberals, you have these other folks, who like to fetishize us and like to play in our culture and romanticize aspects of our lives, okay? But will never, ever, 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 ever trade places with us, man.
Well,
Okay.
trade places with these women, but I mean, by and large, they're not trying to trade places with the brothers.
They not, man.
And, and this just brings me to another topic, man. We can kind of close out because I don't want to keep you here all night. I know you got some lesson plans and things like that to get together for tomorrow. But I want to talk about BMI.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? I want you to explain to the audience here what BMI represents to you, because you made a post. You don't usually make video.
Yeah.
But that's something that must have really touched you.
Yeah, man.
It must have really hit a nerve with you. And so I want you to kind of give me an understanding of what you meant by that and why you went where you went with that. And look, please support the channel. Thank you, BGS, for moderating what's going on out there. Please support the channel. If you like this kind of content and you hear more like it in the future, please support the channel. And even if you don't like the video, give it a thumbs down. Just add to the algorithm. Do something with it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, all we're trying to do is just have candid conversations in real time. You feel me? That's what we do here. And we haven't been allowed to have a voice in mainstream media. And all the men, except for the men in the manosphere, right, are afraid to talk unless it's behind a closed door. It's a barbershop or some sort of clandestine meeting. It's time for us to start talking and telling our point of view. Bottom line, you don't like it, so what? That's how I feel about it anyway, man. And that leads in kind of a segue into what's going on with Killer Mike and your views and your thoughts about it.
Yeah, man. So Killer Mike, man. I thought what happened with him, over the past week or so, he met with Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, man, Republican dude, and he and Stacey Abrams went toe to toe for the governor's office, about 2 years ago, and Stacey Abrams lost, and she contested her loss and everything like that, and all kind of stuff came out about voter fraud and suppression and all that, and all that stuff happens, man. I'm in North Carolina, man. We've had Supreme Court, issues with, voter suppression and voter IDs and all that kind of stuff. And even throughout the South, man, they've changed. The conservatives have changed the landscape in terms of how we deal with voting. But nevertheless, man, they run the show. Okay, I mean, you in the South, uh, generally, you know, you have to deal with conservative power. So he's in Georgia. He lives in Atlanta, and he decides to, you know, meet with him to talk about business, to talk about capitalism, small business, man, you know, and getting relief, man. I mean, I don't know the particulars. I don't know the particulars of the details in Georgia, man, but I know that in other parts of the country, man, you know, you have businesses that are going under, man. They've gone under, you know, under COVID. You know what I mean? And that stimulus money didn't go too far, and they need more help. So Killer Mike decides to go to the governor's office and to be a voice, you know, and to talk about getting government support, getting the state of Georgia to help. And you know, he caught a whole bunch of flack, bro, you know, from the folks, black liberals and leftists and other folks, you know what I'm saying? And I saw what he did as a demonstration of BMI, what I call it, you know, BMI, black male independence. You know, I put out, and you're right, I don't put out too many videos, man. This is the second video that I put out on my Facebook page. You know, some weeks back, you know, I put out one dealing with the election, dealing with, you know, Biden and Harris and Trump, and I kind of mentioned that, you know, BGS put the video on his platform and everything, and other people passed it around. But you know, in there, I expressed the need for black men to become independent in their thinking, particularly their political thinking. You know, our political thought is too conditioned by non-black males. I'm gonna put it, our political thinking is too conditioned by gynocentrism, bro. That's just it. Gynocentrism and liberalism. Liberalism is an offshoot, like an extension of gynocentrism, and it doesn't get us anywhere. You know, we don't have the luxury of playing a game of liberal conservative. I know most black folks are Democrat in terms of their political behavior, but when it comes down to it, if you are in a state that's Republican, bro, you got to deal with the people who run the show. And never, you know, there's not been a place in our history where, you know, we had the luxury of just dealing with people that we liked or dealing with people who were close to us in terms of our ideology. We've never had that luxury, man. And I think Killer Mike was a reminder of that history. He was a reminder, and I was glad that he got the attention that he received, and even the backlash, because, you know, from what I see, it did not phase him. And for what I've seen from his own example, man, Killer Mike, you know, he's really gone hard in the paint in terms of articulating his own political philosophy and ideology. You know, I've seen him among white liberals and white leftists talking, and I've seen them cringe in his presence when he has articulated his views about Pan-Africanism, about race and other things. You know, I've seen him with Bill Maher. You know, it's interesting. You watch. I've seen the videos, man, and it's clear that white people are not accustomed to hearing the perspectives of young black men, of men. Okay, particularly black men who do not have their same ideology. Okay, and
Right.
so I saw him live that out, and so I'm like, black men, this is what we need to be doing. Okay, I don't agree with everything that, you know, Killer Mike espouses. You know, I have points of, you know, disagreement with him in terms of ideology. But the point is that you don't care about what people think. You're not interested in being popular. And the big thing is you're dealing with power. You know, this is not about morality. This is not about you know, getting people to recognize you. It's not about being visible. All this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? This is about power. This is about money, power, our economic needs, educational needs, health needs. You know, dealing with criminal justice, dealing with our material condition. You know, dealing with stuff that's tangible. You know, in the real world. You know, and so I put that video out because I kind of I felt it, man. You know, prior to doing that, I put a post out. articulating those ideas. And that's like, you know what, let me put my face on this, man. Because black men, I really think that black men need to run with this. We need more independence among black men. And in light of our conversations and what's going on, what we do here, man, yeah, we have to separate. I mean, we have to have an independent perspective, but that's the only way. And I think that these young men, not just young men, but just black men at large, man, need to exert that independence for themselves, for their own psychologies, for their self-concept, to be able to stand up in the face of folks who regard your perspective as abhorrent. And so, yeah, that's why I, put that out there.
And the funny thing about this is this, man. And this is just a known fact. We're seeing the results of efforts that have been made over the course of the past 50 years to develop an independent black women's politics.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unapologetic. It's deprecatory to black men, meaning they don't have any problem saying what they got to say about what's best for them. No hesitation.
None whatsoever.
I mean, even over your death, they'll advance their politics. That's how brazen it is. That's how old and how dismissive it is related to the concerns of black men. When I saw that, I already knew. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. And I've been posting this stuff since it was 2016, 2015.
Yeah.
This ain't new for me.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the whole point though is it's a lot of men that feel like they don't have permission to do so. For some reason, they feel as if being independent and thinking about themselves is something that's absolutely outside of the realm of good taste. It's immoral to them. A lot of them, not here, because we preaching to the choir here in this space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But it's a lot of black men out here who feel that if it ain't tied to a T, then they can't do nothing with it. If they not doing what they have normally done, or what their mothers tell them to do, or what their fathers told them to do, or what everyone else has told them to do, then they don't want to do it. If they're like, it was something on television, not television, but YouTube, where what was it, Michael Steele? Was saying, okay, well, making a joke about, well, we already know where black men can go vote because he's going to do what his wife tells him to do, and then he laughs. Like, what kind of message is that sending to black men in the world of the United States, man? Like, what message is that sending? Meaning nothing more than a facsimile of our women politically. That's ridiculous, man.
Yeah. And we've been convinced to believe that somehow that is a representation of being enlightened or progressive or what have you. The fact that you are deferential, the fact that you suspend your intellect and your preferences, and that you don't say anything, that you don't dissent, that you have to agree, with the female population at all times. And that's just a crock of, you know what I'm saying?
Fuck that.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, in the video that I put out prior to that, I was telling, black men, I say, as we go into this vote in November and everything, I'm like, I said, you need to become independent of the women. I was particular about it. I think that black men, here's the thing, this is about being an adult. This is about breaking out of this infantilized state, okay? Is that you need to become independent of your girlfriend, your wife, your mother, your auntie, your sisters, your female cousins, your grandmother. You need to become independent of the gynocentric males that are in your space and what have you. You need to do that. You need to be able to be independent and stand on your own 2 feet. Think for yourself, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to be unpopular. Don't be afraid to go against the consensus. And the fact of the matter is that there was the black society, there's a gynocentric consensus. You know, when it comes down to politics and it comes down to the family and it comes down to so many other things. And you only do that when you have some independence. And you referenced to this before when you talk about traditional socialization. In traditional socialization, what happens? A boy reaches a certain age where he becomes he becomes a youth, a young adult, or what have you. He separates from the mama. You separate from your mama. You become independent. You become your own person. Okay.
True fact.
And we have not. We have to sever the umbilical cord from the mother.
Hey, look, there's nothing wrong with mother veneration in moderation. Let me restate that again.
Got it.
There's nothing wrong with mother veneration in moderation. But your mother is supposed to serve a function. Look at biology, man. I'm a naturalist philosopher, okay? I'm a pragmatic naturalist philosophical thinker.
Mm-hmm.
At a point at which you are no longer required to feed off your mother's breast, you can chew food and you can go to the bathroom by yourself. That is the point at which you're supposed to start making a departure from the mother. Bottom line, I mean, you can venerate your mother. She was there for you at the formative. She's the formation. She's at the completion.
Yeah.
She ain't the full circle. She's the beginning point, not the end point.
That's it. You know, and here's the other thing. The other dimension to it is that when we go into the world deals with us as men. It deals with us as Black men. It does not deal with us as Black women, okay? When we go into the world of work, when we deal with legal structures, when we deal with educational structures, whatever structure you want to talk about in society, once you leave your mama's house and you're 18, 19 years old, 20 years old, it deals with you as a man. It don't deal with you as a woman. You know, and I think the grand example of that is the court system. Okay.
Oh yeah.
You look at how the Black males are treated in the court system. Okay. It's, family courts, but particularly criminal courts. The criminal courts don't care about you being raised by your mom or your grandmother, what have you. Okay. If you were 16 years old and you commit a crime that's worthy of you being adjudicated as an adult, guess what? They're gonna treat you like a doggone adult.
That's right.
They're gonna throw you in prison with a bunch of grown men. Okay? And so the thing is that that's the reality that we deal with, that women can't save us from.
Exactly.
And that's what we talk about politics. Our experiences are radically different. Our quality of life is very different. So of course, we would have different understandings of politics and different approaches to policy. Why? I mean, of course, there's a reason why there's a divide over how Black men look at Kamala Harris versus how many Black women look at Kamala Harris. There is a reason why there's so much talk about Black men leaving the Democratic Party. Okay? Because our lives are radically different. And Black men need to feel comfortable in embracing the fact that we don't live the same lives as Black women. And because we don't live the same lives as Black women, we have to think differently.
Yeah. Yeah, man. We have to. Look, again, Black women stated explicitly that they got their own politics. It started in the 70s because it wasn't like that in the early 60s to the mid 60s. It wasn't until you get the Combahee River Collective that you see an explicit and an express aim to focus on themselves. Black lesbian, it started with Black lesbian feminists, so they are the leaders of this movement. So that's why you see them so prominently displayed within the leadership culture of Black women and in Black femininity right now. That's what you see. But it is what it is. They are the leaders of this movement. They are the formers of this movement. And they are ushering in policies that are good for their demographic. Now, this is what's fucked up about it to me, though. They say that there's 4 components to it. It's racism, sexism, heteronormativity, and classism. Now, one could argue they done sold out to the race part of the shit. Because a lot of them are hooked up and linked up with some white guys.
Yep.
So how you gonna marry into whiteness? That's how you fight it, huh? That's how you fight racism. Okay, got that. Sexism, they push that narrative hard. Heteronormativity, they on that hard. In relation to classism, please, all y'all doing, well, not y'all, but you know, all they're doing is cozying up to corporatism. This is all about neoliberalism, man. This ain't nothing but neoliberalism, bro.
Of
So
course,
all that bullshit, we're changing the basic structure of society with these radical socialists. No, you're not. Because if you were different, you'd be arguing for the change of the basic structure of society financially.
No, man.
That's not what they want. They want that's where the very idea of equity with men in relation to wages is some bullshit. That is an indication right there. The whole wage gap shit ain't nothing but a neoliberal Western fucking argument that basically is not trying to dismantle the system of class structures at all. That's a lie. So it's a lie. It is.
I mean, what you're getting at is that these women are comfortable with the system as it is. They like it. They like it. They want to benefit from it. They're not trying to destroy it or dismantle it. They want its goodies. Okay. And one of the reasons why they have issues with Trump is because Trump really, in a very extreme way, represents the possible dismantling of this system. Okay. I don't see it happening. I think that the U.S., I mean, the system in terms of the Constitution and the government, the way it's set up, I don't see it happening. But psychologically, he seems to their ilk as a major threat to the system. That he's a real destabilizer, and so that's why there is this embrace of a Biden, this embrace of Kamala Harris, or even when Hillary Clinton ran. Okay, we need Hillary. We need Hillary because Hillary will basically maintain the system. She's going to be a guardian. She's going to preserve it so that we can continue to have our benefits. So no, I agree with you. I mean, what is happening is that these women, these intersectional people, they want to give the aura of them trying to overcome something and to create something new, but it's just, I mean, it's fraudulent. I mean, it's about milking the system for what it is, getting a bigger piece of the pie. It's kind of like Dave Chappelle, man. Remember Dave Chappelle, man, when he was doing those comedy shows, and he's talking about white women and white feminists. He said, basically, white feminists are just mad because they're not happy with their slice of the pie. And what they want is a bigger slice of the pie.
And that's it. They want to be seen. They want some more money, and they want to be able to go out here and be in these streets.
Basically,
that's it. You want to be out here in the streets, man. Shaking that ass in the streets, man. Like I'm here. All I can say is, man, it's always a pleasure, man, to have you on, man. You like Daz. I'm like corrupt on this joint, or you can be corrupt. I can be Daz, however you want to call it, bro.
Yes, sir.
Dog.
DPG.
You hear me? But I want to give a shout out to several persons who've made donations that I hadn't had the opportunity to get around to. So I want to shout out Aaron Smith. Thank you so much for the donation, brother. I also want to give a shout out to Marvin Battle, one of my members. Appreciate you for becoming a member. And also, I want to give a shout out to 2MC for the quarter water. Appreciate you so much, sir. And look, we're going to do this thing again on Friday. Not me and you, but I'm gonna get down Friday, and there'll be a discussion Oh, I hear some echo there, Ron. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna be back here, man, again on Friday, 7 p.m.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because like there's been a discussion that's been going on about, you know, black men and throughout the entirety of the world, and like, you know, different nationalities, different cultures, Caribbean men, African men, Nigerian, Kenyan men. Like, what do we think about each other as black men? And also, I said this on Facebook, and I'm gonna say it here today. And you might not like what you hear, but blackness was imposed on people of African descent. That's a fact. We didn't create blackness. Blackness was created for us in order to put us in a caste system to where they would be able to differentiate us from whiteness. And whiteness is theorized as the exact polar opposite to blackness. So what does blackness mean to me? Well, it means practicality to me. It means that if you say fuck me, it's fuck you. If that's what it is. Now, that's just how I feel about it. Now, you can think whatever you want to think about it, but we're going to have a more profound and a more robust conversation about it come Friday. So I want you to join me here at the Green Gorilla channel Friday at 7 p.m. Hey, look, I love each and every one of y'all. We don't always agree, but we always agree to have the conversation. And that's what it is. You feel me? We always agree to have the conversation. So I want to give a shout out to Firebrand Central. I appreciate your donation, brother. So I want all y'all to be peaceful. And until the next time, y'all. One.